Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. In today's video, we are going to be doing a reading and energy update for our beautiful collective here on YouTube. So I'm going to be starting off today by shuffling the energy oracle cards. So what do those listening need to know most at this time? Well, right away, we got the action card. So I've been getting messages about someone balancing their internal divine feminine and divine masculine aspects. And because this has been coming up a lot recently, I may be doing a podcast episode on this, specifically about how balancing your internal divine feminine and divine masculine could be the key to manifesting your desires. So do let me know if that's something you'd like to hear me speak in depth about. But when we talk about balancing the divine feminine and divine masculine, we are talking about drawing upon the yin and the yang aspects of our internal internal selves, which is so powerful because it's that yin and yang energy, the masculine and feminine energy coming together that is actually really the blueprint for all of nature. It is the building blocks, so to speak, of all creation, including things and visions and dreams that you bring into creation in your own life. So for many of you listening here, you may resonate more so with your divine feminine aspect. And this means that you are naturally someone who tends to be more emotionally based, someone who is very creative, in some sense, very creatively expressive. Your intuition is probably very on point. You probably have considered yourself a very spiritual person, someone who thinks really deeply about life and nature, and maybe even religion, spirituality, philosophy, those kinds of subjects. Now, of course, this isn't to say that you don't have some of those masculine attributes. When we talk about identifying more so with the masculine or feminine, we're talking about a kind of energetic leaning where we dominantly are. But just like in the yin yang symbol, each side has a little bit of the other in it. None of us really exist in kind of a black and white way. We all tend to have a balance of both energies. But for the person I'm speaking to here, I feel that you've tended to be more emotional, more creative, more free-flowing, possibly your whole life. But lately, your spirit guides have been pushing you to cultivate your internal masculine aspect, the part of you that is structured, that is disciplined in the sense that you can create positive structure and routine in your life and essentially provide strong, clear pathways and focused channels for your beautiful divine feminine energy. So recently, if you felt some kind of push to structure your day or your life or to create some kind of routine, or you're just feeling pushed in this direction, then this could be because your personal spirit guides, your higher self, whatever divine forces you personally connect with, are inspiring you, guiding you to more consciously draw upon the internal masculine aspect of yourself to create structure around your beautifully sensitive energy. Now, for some of you, This might look like protecting your sensitivity, protecting your energy, or clearing your energy in some kind of way, setting up strong boundaries with external people, situations, or energies that might affect you or kind of dim your light or dampen your creative spirit in some way. So that's just something that I'm feeling coming up very strongly. I know that all came just from the action card in the deck, but I'm going to be reshuffling here. And while we are speaking to the divine feminines here, let's go ahead and follow this trail of energy. So what else can I channel for the divine feminines listening here? I'm hearing more in tune you become with yourself, the more psychic you become with others, because as within, so without. The more familiar you become with your internal world, the more that reflects out in how you flow in interactions with other people, how easily you're able to clearly read people and situations, and so on. So specifically for someone I'm tuning into here, you may be feeling guided to journal or to maybe create artwork or music or some form of writing, or maybe to work with a counselor or some kind of coach or external guide to be able to get more in touch with what's happening within you emotionally and mentally. Now, I'm picking up for someone listening here that, and this is going to be very specific, but for someone listening, you may have had fears of diving into something internally, mentally, or emotionally. And this may be because there was a part of you afraid that if you go back to some shadow aspect of yourself, that you're going to get stuck there. But I'm hearing you're not going to get stuck there. You're going to retrieve something that's going to be extremely valuable to your journey and is actually going to help you accelerate in manifesting your desires. Because again, the more in touch you get with yourself, with your internal world, whether that's through just personal journaling, keeping some kind of diary, or whether it's through externally diving into that inner world by working with someone in the external or doing some kind of external exercise for that, I'm getting the sense that there's a place mentally or emotionally that you've been affected by. It's like it's still sitting there within you. And a part of you has been afraid to address it or go back to it because you don't want to get stuck there. But something kind of like keeps pulling you back or calling you back saying, hey, there's something here that you missed, or there's some shadow aspect here that's actually a key to unlocking the door to your manifestations. Because as we know, every new version of you requires a deeper level of understanding and wisdom within yourself. And external growth will also always mirror what's happening on the internal. So something else to keep in mind here is that when you allow yourself to grow and expand and become more cognizant internally, which in this case means bringing certain shadow aspects into the light of your consciousness, making certain things that have been unconscious more conscious. The act of doing this is actually carving out more space within your being through addressing that shadow. You could think of the shadow kind of like, this isn't the best metaphor, but it's almost like earth or dirt within you. And as you dig into it and clear it out, you're clearing that dirt and airing it out. And this is actually creating more space in your energy body to potentially hold and radiate greater light. This is also exactly the reason that some of the beings on this planet who hold the most light are also the beings who have been through the most hardship, trauma, and pain in this lifetime, because that shadow was like that dirt that they were able to dig into and clear out. And this allowed them to hold more light for others and for the planet. And I feel part of why that's coming up in this reading is quite simply because that is you. You are one of those who holds a great deal of light energy, but it's because of the shadow that you've been through that's allowed you to carve out that space to hold that kind of light with that kind of intensity. However, there's something here that it's almost like something your guides want you to know that you've been missing, or that you need to go back and retrieve. And this might require you to go back into something that felt very challenging or dark or heavy, something that it's almost like been sitting within you and you've been trying to ignore it and kind of live your life around it. But the guides are saying, if you open this door and clear this out, you are going to be able to hold so much more energy. And that's naturally going to lift you to this next level that you're trying to get to. And I'm sensing as well that any time in the past you've tried to externally push to this next level, you may have felt almost like you were tethered somehow to your current level, almost like tied with a rubber band to this level. So you may have tried to push forward and then suddenly felt boomeranged back. And you may have wondered, why is it that every time I try pushing forward in action, there is like this energetic kickback that seems to set me back or pull me back? And you may have puzzled over this for a really long time, maybe weeks, months, years even. And so this message is coming through from your guides that it's not that the action itself is out of alignment for you. And it's not that this next level isn't possible for you, because it absolutely is. It's a vision that you've created. It's that you have to unlock it from within yourself. And again, I feel this involves addressing something really deep. And for some reason, I just keep getting this imagery of this village or this town, and there is like this giant hole in the middle of the city, but everyone just drives and walks around it and does their best to pretend it's not there. But every time you want to get somewhere in this city, because of the hole, you have to go the long way around. It takes you so much longer, but it's almost like the people living there have just accepted that. Well, in this metaphor, it's like you are the city, and that hole is something that you have to go back into to heal or to retrieve some aspect of yourself from, to integrate something in order to carve out that space to hold more light and to move you naturally into this next level that you've been desiring for a long time. Because I'm also getting the message that you'll remain at the level that you're currently at until you learn everything it has to teach you. So the journey isn't external, it's internal. It's the journey of internal self-discovery that leads to external self-actualization. So if you felt stuck in something in the 3D world, if you felt stuck or trapped at some level of success or some level in your life or your happiness or your relationships, and you just feel tethered in a way to where you're at, then know that it's because there's something that this level is still trying to teach you. And the faster you learn that lesson and integrate it, the faster you will effortlessly unlock this next level. And again, I feel here that key to unlocking it is in some aspect of your past that left some kind of imprint on you, that you kind of pushed to the side in a survival mode to be able to keep functioning because you had to. I feel this also needs to be said. There's no shame in having pushed this to the side for a while. In fact, I feel you are extremely strong and courageous for even making it out of this situation. And in fact, I feel that it was a necessity for you to push this to the side for a time. I feel that a younger version of you didn't have the time or the resources or the level of spiritual or emotional maturity to be able to process whatever that was. So it's like you went into a survival mode and kind of just put caution tape around whatever it was and pushed it to the side for a while because you had to, because you had no other choice. And continuing to live your life in spite of that was so brave and required such a huge amount of resilience. In fact, I feel it took every ounce of everything that you had. But now you've healed to the point where you are able to process something here that you weren't able to process before. And that's what your guides are asking you to take a look at here, whether that means going through the process within yourself in a meditation, a visualization, journaling. I'm getting for some of you, this could be exercises like yoga, or maybe you do EFT tapping exercises. If you don't know what that is and you feel drawn to it, you can look that up as well. For others of you, as I said, this might involve working with an external coach, a spiritual counselor, a therapist, some kind of traditional counselor, whatever this looks like for you. But there's some way that you are or soon will be addressing this thing from your past that you couldn't process in the past fully in order to retrieve something that it has to teach you, which is going to allow you to rise up into this next level. And that rising into the next level is going to happen very naturally and very automatically. That's the beautiful thing about it. I feel like you've been pushing and reaching and trying to reach this next level. But once you unlock it from the inside, as we've been talking about, you're going to rise into this effortlessly, because carving out that space within you through diving into the shadow work is actually going to allow you to hold more light. And light is energy, meaning you can raise your vibration effortlessly to a much higher level here. So I'm going to be reshuffling the cards here. I will say at the bottom of the deck, so a hidden truth here is the throat chakra reversed. So there's something happening with the throat chakra. I feel that part of what you're going into the past to retrieve is some way in which your throat chakra energy or your truth or your authentic expression was stifled. So through whatever happened in your past, I feel there was a time where I'm hearing that you had to live in fear of expressing yourself or expressing your truth. Now, I'm not sure if it was an external force or person imposing that fear on you, or whether it was more internally based, but I feel there was a lot of fear around speaking your mind, communicating your truth. Even internally, there was something here that I feel for a long time you were not internally allowing yourself to see, because it would have required you to see a certain person that you loved very deeply in a different light, or even to set boundaries with them or to disconnect. And it's almost as though your soul wouldn't let you go there. But in doing so, in keeping this person or thing in your life without boundaries, in maintaining this connection or social environment or whatever it was for you, it required you to continuously shove down your truth. I'm hearing shove your truth back down your throat, swallow it back down, and stifle your throat chakra energy. And this has had an effect on you over time. I'm hearing a lot about that book, The Body Keeps the Score. So if you do feel guided by the name of that book title, you might want to look it up or check it out, because that has been coming up a lot as I've been downloading all of this information. But it's interesting that that's coming up here, because it's almost as though your physical body at times manifests these symptoms and sensations of your repressed truth. So it's almost like everything you've tried to hold down or repress, the body is no longer repressing. And maybe that's part of why you've finally been pushed over the edge to this journey of deep introspection and self-discovery. Because for some of you listening, I'm getting that your physical body has literally started almost like reacting to you trying to swallow your truth. You might not even realize fully that you're swallowing your truth, because you might just be thinking that you are going along to get along. You might be thinking, you might be so accustomed to, in a sense, taking the long way around that hole in the city that you've half forgotten that it's there. And that's where I feel this process of introspection, even if it's just journaling personally, could be so valuable in helping you really get to the root of what it is here that maybe you've not allowed yourself to fully process. We do have the community card. So for some of you listening, there may be a community aspect to this processing. You specifically might lean on a soul friend during this process, or a soul group, a soul community who understands on some level what you're going through. For others of you, this might represent someone that you are physically speaking with or connecting to. Again, this could be a mentor, a coach, a spiritual counselor, a therapist, whatever this is for you. Now, of course, I do have to say, when it comes to the physical bodily symptoms we were talking about, as well as any mental and emotional symptoms, I am not a medical professional or a therapist. So I always recommend seeking professional medical or mental health advice for any serious concerns that you might have. But what I'm getting is selective vulnerability will be extremely healing to you. But the key word here is selective, because I feel that in the past, you were vulnerable with people who had their hearts closed. And when you tried being vulnerable with those who had their hearts closed, they preferred you to swallow your truth. And that may have put you in kind of this holding pattern where you thought it was better to kind of just bypass your own emotions, to not get real with yourself about what you're feeling, when in reality, allowing those emotions to breathe, clearing them out of you, allowing yourself to feel them and process them is the key here. But again, this involves selective openness, selective vulnerability. So there are certain individuals that you are going to be able to be very open and vulnerable with, and that is going to heal your soul. These are those who have their heart open, that you inherently feel at ease around, that you can trust. If you haven't yet met these individuals, then trust that someone or a group of people like this will be making their way into your life at some point when you need them in the process of this journey. So if you don't have anyone externally right now, my guides are saying begin the process internally, and those supports will show up, meaning start by supporting yourself, even if that's all you can do. Start by journaling what you're thinking, what you're feeling, being your own best friend. And as you begin that process of internal self, deepening those levels of internal self-knowledge and self-love, those individuals physically will show up to reflect that support that you're showing to yourself and to reinforce it in the physical plane. With the journey card in the upright position, the number 222 might be connecting with someone I also just feel that this is you taking some kind of spiritual journey in the dark. I'm not sure why I'm getting that darkness. Maybe this is because you are going into some of those shadow aspects of your internal self. Specifically with caring connections reversed, some of the shadow aspects that you might be diving into here could be around situations where you felt unsupported or uncared for, or even guilty for having needs or having desires in connection. I feel I'm speaking to someone here, at least in this part of the reading, who would be the type of person to always put their needs last, to always, I'm seeing someone like serving everyone else at the table before themselves, making sure everyone else is taken care of before they take care of themselves. And first of all, it is such a beautiful quality that you are someone who still has that warmth and that light about you in a world that can so often be devoid of warmth. But at the same time, I feel you've reached the point on your journey where you've been trying to give from an empty cup because you have been giving to others first for so long that you've forgotten to get in touch with what you truly need and desire, not just need on a surface level, but truly desire out of a love connection, because you deserve what you desire. Now, I don't know why I said love, because I meant to talk about connection in general, but I don't believe in accidents. So maybe for someone listening, this has specifically applied to your love life where you've felt almost guilty for having things you desire that past partners were, I'm hearing, refusing to meet those desires. So I don't know who I'm speaking to here, but there are lovers from your past who it's not even that they couldn't or weren't meeting your desires. Even when you would express these desires, they just would choose not to meet your desires. And I feel that for a time, this may have left you feeling unworthy of having your desires fulfilled in connection. And now is the time of reclaiming your heart and reclaiming your power. I feel that a very essential part to this journey is giving everything to yourself that you have desired from others, especially in the context of love. If there are certain things that you've desired, or maybe currently you are single or in the dating world, and there are certain things that you desire from a love relationship, I'm getting that part of your journey right now is learning how to give those things to yourself. And in fact, if your love life has felt lacking, or maybe you are still single or in the dating stages, part of why this might be is because you are learning here how you deserve to be loved through the way that you are showing that love to yourself. And that is immensely powerful. I feel that self-love is really just grounding itself in here. It's becoming so visceral. You might actually be feeling that very strongly on your journey. With Angel of Strength reversed, I'm hearing something about letting down the masculine shield while maintaining the balance. Interesting. So for a divine feminine specifically listening, we talked earlier about balancing your internal divine feminine and divine masculine energy. But I feel that you are learning how to maintain that balance without putting up walls or shields against the very things that you desire and crave, which I know sounds really strange, but it's almost as though I feel like in the past, you may have found it difficult to be in your receptive energy. You may have been in a very self-protective stance, and because of this, you may have found it difficult to receive even in the smallest of ways. For example, to receive a kind word or a compliment without kind of like talking it off or brushing it off or rejecting it in some way, to receive gifts without feeling like you owe the person or have to give them something immediately in return. You are learning how to be more open and receptive, but also how to remain balanced and structured and self-supportive, to have self-supportive boundaries and to be discerning, but also to remain open and receptive, to have that kind of feminine receptive quality about you that creates a softness and an openness in your energy that's allowing you to stay emotionally connected to your inner self. Because when that shield or that wall goes up, that masculine shield, as we're calling it, as a divine feminine, this can actually temporarily cut you off from accessing your own beautifully emotionally charged, which is also a highly creative and magnetic energy. So, wow, this reading has been so unexpected and unique. I really don't know who's been manifesting through these messages, but I hope this has reached you. And I am going to be continuing this reading on to Patreon. So in the Patreon reading, we will be channeling more deeply into all of these messages and pulling through whatever additional pieces of guidance or information want to come through that reading. So if you do feel a connection with this reading and you're feeling guided to join our Patreon Soul Tribe, the link to do so is in the pinned comment and description box underneath this video. Of course, if you resonate with my content in a general sense, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, join our beautiful community of like-minded, conscious, creative beings here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram at Magnetize Yourself. So I am going to close this first reading with one final message from Rumi. And the guidebook here says, "Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Cleverness is opinion. Bewilderment is vision." Rumi. A blessing of divine wisdom of Al-Hakim is being ministered to your soul, watched over by Rumi himself. This is soul medicine. It is a spiritual gift of healing, prophecy, insight, and the capacity to surrender any impatient claim for what you cannot yet have. As you receive this gift, this blessing which happens at a soul level, your attitude to life becomes more curious, open, still, and receptive. You no longer have to drive the unfoldment of your desires into form. You rest in assurance that your daily application and effort is enough, and so is your surrender. From this place of increasing stillness, great activity will flow. So that feels like a beautiful place to close the reading. Thank you so much again for tuning in today. I really do appreciate each and every one of you here. I am so grateful that you're part of our beautiful, inspiring, mutually supportive community here. So I am going to close out this reading now. Of course, if you want to join me on Patreon, where I'll be heading to next, the link for that is under this video. Otherwise, I am wishing you the most beautiful remainder of your day and week, and I will connect with you here again in Friday's reading.